Hey everyone, welcome to my third battle report from the Warhammer Fantasy tournament on the 8th of December at Mighty Titan Hobbies and Games. I alluded to it in the concluding remarks for Game 2, but front and center you could see my opponent for Game 3 is my longtime sparring partner, Anthony from the Sustainable Center, with his Bretonnians. We both had several so it had some good games that day and ended up in first and second place going into game three. And the outcome of game three, barring a massive blowout on one of the other tables, will determine who's the winner and who's in second place. So since Anthony is usually very fatalistic about our our games after having played so many iterations of this exact same type of game, I said, all right, show me your war face in the beginning with the intention of doing like a before and after at the end of the video of Anthony at the beginning and Anthony at the end. So this is Anthony's war face going into the game. Here you can see a wide angle shot of the total table. I just stayed on the IC table and we just used it as the top table. It didn't really make a huge difference to me. Um, the one thing I didn't really think about at the time was that ruined building is still a building and could be occupied. I didn't really consider that. Anthony's got that big block of men at arms, which is going to go almost immediately into the building. And I didn't even think about it. We very rarely play the watchtower scenario, and it had a huge effect on the game from my perspective. So once again, here's a wide angle shot of my deployment. At this point in the day, I was pretty tired, having been on my feet the whole day, and I was also starting to think about like what I was going to do for dinner and stuff after the tournament. So my pictures are not as thorough or meticulous as I might normally be. So if I repeat myself or have to, backtrack to explain something, I apologize in advance. But it's the same army I've taken the whole time, left to right: the knights, the great swords, the swordsmen, the 10 skirmishing archers, the steam tanks, the demigriffs. It's battle line deployment, no fooling, no craziness. The pistoliers are on the far left-hand side, and the hurricanes behind the knights and the great swords. Anthony has a treb in each corner, the big block of 9 Grail Knights on the left-hand side with 1 treb, mounted yeomen in the center on the other side of that icy marsh, the 40, I want to say, men-at-arms with a level 2 wizard, then the character block and the errant block on the other side of that ruined tower. So here's a close-up of Anthony's Grail Knights, and then a closer shot of his deployment. This is just going to be the next couple slides. And then here's the right-hand side, the character bus with the Bretonnian Lord, who I believe had the Heartwood Lance for this game, and then the level 4 Prophetess in the second rank. And then that big unit in the center of the slide is the Errant Knights. And then from my side, it's the same army. There you go. And then the Pistoliers all the way on the other side. The spells that I had: the Signature, the Enfeebling Foe, the Withering, and Occam's Mindrazor. I usually don't try to push for Pit of Shadows when I fight Anthony. Everybody in the army is initiative 3, and then the characters are like initiative 6 or initiative 5. So it's really just I don't find that I get a lot of mileage out of it. And yeah, Anthony had on the level 4 the Curse of Honor here, the Amber Spear, the Savage Beast of Horus, and Lanson's Wild Form, which are all great spells to have for that character. And then the level 2 has the Transformation of Kadan and the Impenetrable Pelt. So this is Vanguard movements. The Mounted Yeomen and the Pistoliers are 12 inches away from each other, pretty much squaring off right from the get-go. And here we are going into the top of turn 1. I believe I won the roll to go first. Steam Tank attempts to generate 4 steam points, misfires, loses 2 of them, has 2 left. The archers and the demigriffs move up. They're both like at the max charge range of Anthony's Errant Knights is 20 inches. They're at like 19.5 inches. This will provoke an impetuous test. The Knights are leadership 6 because of the Errantry banner. On their base leadership with the Bretonnian Lord, they're down to leadership 8, which is, leadership 8 with a reroll is pretty good, but there's always the chance that he'll fail 2 leadership checks in a row and have to make a charge, and then I'll be able to capitalize on pulling his units out of positioning and making him charge in a turn when he's not prepared for that. So, got to make him take those tests to expose a chance to capitalize on that happening. So that's why those guys are where they are at. The rest of the battle line holds still in the center. Um, I can kind of identify in retrospect a problem with this game, which was that I really don't have a way to leverage my three main combat units against Anthony's army. I have a big piece of impassable terrain building in between me and him. Nothing I have is going to shift stubborn leadership 10 infantry out of a building. That's just not on the table as something that's capable of happening. And I have the Grail Knights, which are very significant threats to like a flank or rear charge, and I have his much more maneuverable night blocks that are going to be able to sweep around that center, that impassable building and engage me at Anthony's discretion, not at my discretion. So I'm kind of in a weird spot here, and I just kind of opt to hold the center and wait to see how Anthony's movement shakes out. And I'm going to be playing a reactive game right here because he has me out deployed. We moved the Pistoliers right up in front of the Mounted Yeomen. The Pistoliers are just kind of straight up better than the Mounted Yeomen, and I'm hoping that they'll either get lucky with shooting it and cause a panic check, which the Mounted Yeomen are very likely to fail and run away. And really, I'm quite content to face these two units. This is a good matchup in my favor. I attempt to shoot the cannon down the Errant Knight unit, maybe start thinning it out. It misfires. What else is new? And the steam tank takes 1 wound. And with that, we go into the bottom of turn 1, Anthony's first turn. The Errant Knights fail their impetuous test, must charge. Anthony rolls 2 6s for the maximum 20-inch charge range and successfully charges the Demigryphs. This is kind of shitty. Even if I have to come out of this like gangbusters to have a chance to stay still, I have to cause several wounds to these Errant Knights who are hitting at strength 6 with the full lance formation, leveraging all of its attacks. I think he's only one model in that entire unit doesn't get to swing. He's got 3 ranks. He's got a standard. He's got a charge. I'm starting at -5 combat res just from the get-go. So Demigryph Knights are monsters cavalry. They are close combat monsters, but they're not 5 active combat res, on a turn they don't charge type combat monsters. Anthony's army is far too resilient to take that kind of casualty. So I'm really not optimistic about their chances right out of the gate. And then he moves the unit of men-at-arms into the building. And again, I don't really know how to get those points. And yeah. As long as the general's within 12 inches of the building, they're going to be stubborn leadership 10, and it's going to take forever and ever to kill them because I can't bring a whole horde of greatswords worth of attacks. So I have to do that select 10 models nonsense. So yeah, them occupying the building kind of sucks for me. And then in the magic phase, Anthony's able to get the Curse of Honor here off on the Demigryph Knights. It was that or something else with this magic that I didn't want to happen, so I chose to let the Curse of Honor here off because I felt that these knights were pretty much fucked. No two ways about it. And I figured that with that many strength 6 attacks that I was just going to take so much casualties that the idea of this unit holding was a joke, so why even care about trying to make them better in combat. On the shooting phase, 1 stone thrower lands on target on the Celestial Hurricanum and kills it, does exactly 5 wounds and kills it. And the second one lands in the unit of great swords and does 8 casualties. That's actually pretty good for a strength 5 stone thrower. I expect to take pretty bad casualties, so I was pretty happy about that. The Errant Knights, it was funny. In the close combat, I caused, I think, 1 wound to the Night Block with Demigryphs because I have initiative with the actual Demigryphs themselves over the Errant Knights. He then got a lot of attacks that hit, and a great number of those hits wounded, and I made every single armor save. So I was feeling really kind of dumb here because, all he had going for him was the charge, the 3 ranks, and the standard, and it wasn't as completely a foregone conclusion that the Demigryphs were going to break as I thought it would. But in any event, they break the. I don't know if he runs them down. I think he does not run them down. I think they just they run off the table, and this is where the knights end up. So this is what the board looks like going into Empire turn 2, the top of turn 2. I don't know if you can kind of see on the edge of this slide. I'm sorry I didn't take really close-up pictures of the rest of the board, but the Pistoliers had killed a mounted yeoman. The mounted yeoman have killed a Pistolier now, and it's pretty much tit for tat there. The Grail Knights had advanced slightly. It's off to the left. I don't think I had a good picture of it. The character bus is on the is moving around that ruin to keep their charge options open and to really deny me line of sight for charges with my horde or anything like that. Yeah, okay, sorry. Here's the slide that shows the Grail Knight's position and stuff. So I declare a charge on the mounted yeoman with the Inner Circle Knights. Anthony chooses to flee. I then declare a charge on the fleeing mounted yeoman with the Pistoliers. He is already fleeing, so he has to flee again. Then I fail the charge with the Inner Circle Knights because they're now like 25 inches away or something like that, so it's not really even possible for me to complete it. And successfully complete the charge with the Pistoliers and run them down at that location behind the Grail Knights. Whatever. I really, best case scenario would have been they fled, bounced through the Treb and provoked a panic check on the Treb, so I didn't have to worry about shooting me, and maybe I could redirect and try to go after the Treb. Whatever, you know what I mean. The goal for the Pistoliers on that flank is to eliminate the Trebuchet. That they ran down the mounted yeoman was just sort of, I'm going to take 2 turns of shooting before I can get to that Treb, and I had to get rid of that chaff unit anyway, so that's how that worked out. I generate a couple steam points on the tank. I always go for 4. I use 3 steam points on the engine to move it into the Errant Knights. They'll just be locked down for the rest of the game. There's no way they're ever going to kill that steam tank. And the steam tank's not very likely to break them either. But, whatever. I'm just going to take that unit out of the game. I don't want to try and move the steam tank to the other end of the board. I don't want to try to put the steam tank into the character bus because he has a heroic killing blow lord in there who will actually probably kill the steam tank over like 2 turns or whatever. He'll probably get that 6. And the Errant Knights I don't really want free to run around in my back line anyway. So okay, this is a trade that I'm kind of happy with. I angle the great swords toward the building. I move the skirmishing archers up to block the knights. Also, if they charge the skirmishing archers, the positioning will take them into that marsh to be flank charged by the swordsman. I don't know if the great swords at this point. I was waffling on what to do with their positioning. I don't believe the great swords can actually wheel and complete a charge into the knights should they charge the archers and overrun into that marsh or anything like that. And so really the threat is a flank charge from the unit of swordsmen. And the knights move their failed charge to that fence and don't take any casualties to dangerous terrain. Going into the magic, I get the withering off on the Errant Knights. This has a special place in my heart of purpose because the steam tank, pardon me, steam tank strength 6 with all of its grinding attacks and impact hits, so it's wounding them on 2s across the board. However, whenever I use 3 points on the grind, which is strength 6, that's going to leave me with 1 steam point left to do a strength 2 breath weapon, and I can do that every turn. So if I make these guys toughness 1, then a strength 2 breath weapon is actually not that bad. It'll generate a lot of wounds. He'll probably make the armor saves because they're knights and it's only strength 2, but you never know. So that's okay, and it remains in play. So it's a powered dice tax on Anthony in some future turn when he chooses to get rid of it. And then I have like 1 dice left, and I get the 5-up ward save in close combat on the greatsword. It's kind of not relevant because I don't think anything is there's even a possible charge against them, but there it is. This is just to show that the steam tank with 3d3 plus d6 strength 6 impact hits, and then the breath weapon kills a single knight. So they're steadfast. Their leadership 8. I don't know if they're within range of the general. I have a flank, a charge, and 1 wound This is the only turn where I'm going to probably win combat for sure, and they successfully hold. So it's just going to be a tar pit for the rest of the game there. And this is what the board looks like going into the bottom of turn 2, Bretonnia turn 2. Anthony moves the Grail Knights further up and around to try and come into my back lines. The character bus moves a few inches to the side. I guess they have the enfeebling foe on them. I didn't take a picture of that, but they do. They have a remains in play strength debuff on them. And that's really it. The peasants aren't going to move, and the errant knights are pinned already. In the magic phase, he gets the Curse of Honor here off on the great swords, which is great. Now I can't move them for another turn. So I've really kind of made my bed by putting them in the center with the impassable terrain between me and his the points of his army. So I kind of just have to, I made my bed. I got to lie in it with that. I can't move them because I can't really stand to lose a third of the models in the unit. And he also casts Weisson's Wild Form on the peasants in the buildings, another toughness 4, and you're going to be like impossible to shift. He has the level 2 damsel with transformation at Gadon and the pelt exit the building but still hide behind it. When you have a level 2 with transformation, you can hold her back, turn her into a dragon, do crazy stuff like that, and I'm assuming that's what Anthony's going to do with them. The only close combat that had been going on that turn was the steam tank, and of course nothing happened because the knights are now strength 3 versus the strength 6 tanks, and they only have like 3 models or 2 models that can attack the tank anyway. So it's a push. The top of turn 3 now, Empire, the Pistolier successfully charged the Trebuchet. The steam tank generates 4 steam points. It'll use them on grinding and then the breath weapon again. And the skirmishing archers now move up like an inch away from the character bus to block it in place. If he wants to charge them, it's going to push him at that rough that angle away from my army and away from the building. The swordsmen follow through to capitalize if he charges them, and then I'll be able to hit him in the flank after he closes the door on the skirmishing archers. And the peasant block continued to fall off of the tower and scatter the models everywhere, so we just put the one guy in the tower to show that they're in there. The Inner Circle Knights swift reform to face the other way, and then move off that barrier in the center so that they can turn to face the Grail Knights. They're stubborn. The Grail Knights are going to be really tough in close combat, but I'm hoping that with the 1-up armor and all that it doesn't really matter how many strength 4 attacks the opponent has. It really won't. It won't be a huge blowout in either way. Another picture of the Pistoliers at the Trebuchet. In any event, they killed it this turn and broke it, and then passed their check to stay on the board. I don't know if I'll have another picture to talk about that. And Anthony had dispelled the enfeebling foe in this unit last turn. I recast it again with -1 to their strength. And over here, with the grinding attacks and then the breath weapon, we kill a few more knights, but it's not enough to win, even though I have a flank. I cause like 1 or 2 more wounds. He's got two ranks and a standard, so I think it's even just a push. I don't even think he's taking a leadership test. So here's another shot of the character bus for some reason. And here's a shot showing that the Pistoliers killed that Trebuchet and reformed to face the rest of the board. So here's the board going into the bottom of turn 3 Bretonnia. The Grail Knights, I do not believe, can see the Inner Circle Knights to declare a charge on them. I think I'm like right at the edge of their view, but they're not going to have uninterrupted passage through my back lines without exposing themselves to a charge from the Inner Circle Knights. The character bus declares a charge on the archers, and I hold. Anthony reforms the Grail Knights, takes a leadership test to swift reform, and fails it. So now he's actually exposing his flank to the Inner Circle Knights and does not get to reposition. He's in my line of sight, and this is pretty much exactly what I had hoped for on this flank. The Grail Knights are really tough. they're going to be a hard. It's going to be a hard battle, pretty much no matter what, because they're just individually very tough models. However, this is the kind of mistake that I'll be able to capitalize on and get a leg up on Anthony in this match. Because right now it's been pretty much back and forth with no real with no clear winner at this point. This, I think, is just to show the completed charge against the skirmishing archers. In the magic phase, Anthony gets the transformation of Kadan and turns the level 2 into a great fire dragon. He casts whatever the upgraded version of the spell is, so it's the big dragon, not the smaller one. And in the shooting phase, he lands a trebuchet on target on the Inner Circle Knights and kills 4 of them, which is actually kind of painful because now I need I really actually need combat effectiveness if I'm going to beat Grail Knights, because Grail Knights they're not slouches. But no, this sucked. I had to make a bunch of 3-up armor saves, and as any Space Marine player in Warhammer 40k will tell you, making 3-up armor saves is not always as easy as you'd like it to be. The character bus easily handles the skirmishing archers and then reforms, so I don't even have really a visible flank to go after like I thought I would. They pivot on the center, and the unit is so long that he just pivots the end that's closest to me back towards the building, and I really don't have a lot of headway. I can do a frontal charge with my swordsman, but my swordsmen aren't going to win combat. They're not going to cause a single wound against his wall of 1-up rerollable armor saves and his Killing Blow Lord. There's a good chance that one of the paladins could probably kill my wizard if he was lucky, and at the very least is going to threaten my wizard and kill him over 2 turns. So I'm not really prepared to make that kind of a sacrifice to pin those guys in place for a few turns. But this is what the board looks like going into the top of Empire turn 4. The greatswords declare a charge on the building containing the men-at-arms. I don't really like it, like I explained earlier. At the time, my understanding of the building rules wasn't as stark, and I kind of figured, well, even if I'll just kill them over 2 or 3 turns and whittle them down to the point where I'll have my greatswords in the building just because I killed all of the peasants, because peasants are shitty and greatswords are a more elite unit. It's not quite that clear cut, but we'll see. I swift reform with the swordsman and just kind of move away from the character bus. I don't know. From the picture, it looks as if he could probably complete the charge. I have a feeling that it was not possible for him to do it, but I don't know. Maybe the next slide will be more more clear. I do, however, complete a charge against the Grail Knights with the Inner Circle Knights. Catch him on the flank. He issues a challenge. I accept with the Warrior Priest. Nobody causes any wounds, or the Warrior Priest maybe even kills the Grail Knight that he's in the challenge with. I don't remember. But it's a complete rubber lance charge. I get no magic support off on this unit. We go in, so I'm actually, with Hatred, I'm hitting with almost all the attacks. But, Anthony just makes a lot of saves. I don't really get a lot of headway on the unit. The Grail Knights have a ton of attacks in response, so they don't actually really lose by that much. And then they hold. Reform to face me, and he's got a rank on me, so I'm not even, I'm stubborn as long as the Crown of Command's around, but it's, that was my chance to clean up a fair number of points with a flank charge, break them, and then if not run them down, just run them off the table, and it just does not pan out that way for me, and I'm stuck in a slog of a combat against a far superior version of Knight. So here's what the board looks like. In the center of the magic phase is actually kind of a nothing, because I have two remains in play spells that are currently still out on units, and I don't really want to take them off. I have Occam's Mind Razor, which is not really going to be all that helpful on, like, say, the greatswords who are wounding peasants on a 2 already, and the wizard couldn't really influence the Inner Circle Knights. There might have been something else to him. I might have actually rolled really low. I don't remember exactly why I couldn't commit magic to that combat. But the The close combat in the building goes apocalyptic. I cause like no wounds with the actual grid swords models themselves. The witch hunter gets killed by 5 uh, peasant attacks. Anthony just rolled very well, and the witch hunter only wears light armor, so I just lose him. The archlector takes a wound despite having his armor and his ward save. And like I said, I don't roll. I just don't get a lot of. I just don't get a lot of wounds through with the greatswords. So I lose that combat. I don't even cause a significant number of casualties. So the idea of shifting them out of that building in 2 more rounds of combat is just not possible. And now I'm starting to feel the game wind down. I've got 1 trebuchet, some mounted yeomen, and that's pretty much all I'm going to be able to get out of Anthony points-wise. Maybe I can get his level 2. I'm not going to be able to do that character bust the way my units are on the table right now. The other trebuchet is too far for me to get to with my pistoliers, even moving flat out, as you can see on the back of the table. And the inner circle knights didn't even catch they had a flank charge on girl knights. They couldn't close the deal. So now I'm starting to wonder how I'm going to win this game. Anthony moves I don't remember if this was a failed charge or if this was just him moving the unit fully around to threaten me, but he doesn't get into close combat with the character bust. The level 2, I had dispelled her transformation to Kadan during my magic phase. That's what I guess I had done with my dice. She moves to the flank of the greatsword unit. Anthony's going to just try to transform her again, and then a breath weapon from that positioning is just going to be super effective. So that's, okay, that's problematic. And the witch hunter, who's the guy who's really good at handling this kind of crap, and even could probably just move over there and pew her to death with pistols because he's got all his rerolls to wound and to hit against wizards and demons and all that kind of stuff. He's dead from peasants. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. And it gives me a high priority dispel thing, so it's not even like I'm going to be able to pick and choose my spells to dispel. And the steam tank and the knights just kind of, slap away at each other. Nothing really happens down there. The end of close combat, the Grail Knights have a rank. I don't think they cause any wounds. I think they just have a rank, and that's all they need to beat me because I don't cause any wounds back. And I'm stubborn. I'm leadership 8, and I bounce it, and I break, and I run away. And this was my turn, so now Anthony's going to be able to just charge the fleeing unit on his turn. So this is pretty shitty. The Grail Knights will run me off on turn 4, then they'll have turns 5 and 6 to get into something else. So now I'm watching. That's like 400 points or whatever it is. I can't remember exactly the value of that unit, but that's now there's a significant deficit. I'm looking at a minor loss right here. And sure enough, that's exactly what Anthony does. At the bottom of turn 4, he declares a charge with Grail Knights. My guys are already fleeing, and they flee off the board. This is now turn 5, Empire. I guess Anthony didn't get his transformation off. I do see that he got the Curse of Honor here off again on the Greatswords, so I can't even really move them to intercept his character bust without taking 10 casualties or whatever. So that's kind of problematic. I reform the swordsman and then it passed the test to swift reform and shuffle 2 inches, or maybe I forget what I did. Anyway, they're just behind the edge of the greatswords unit, and the wizard took the opportunity to reform to the other side of the unit, so at least he will not be in base contact if Anthony chooses to charge the swordsman. The pistoliers advance straight towards level 2. They're going to try to pew her to death with pistols. I get Occam's Mind Razor off. I believe I get it off with Irresistible Force. I don't remember. In any event, the swordsmen are now strength 10. So that's a pretty strong deterrent to Anthony charging him with his character boss. This is now the bottom of turn 5 for Bretonnia. Anthony brings the Grail Knights all the way around towards the center of the table. He flees from the Pistoliers, who do not kill his level 2, and puts her back into the building so she's out of my reach. And he does not charge into the Occam's Mind Razored Swordsman, nor into the Greatsword's unit with his character bus. He just hangs back. Anthony's got the points right now, and he's playing cautiously, and really that's the smart thing to do. In his shooting phase, he lands a trebuchet shot on target in the center of the swordsman unit, so now it's like, I don't even have the ability to take a charge and remain steadfast with that unit. So it's turn 6. I got nothing left. I really can't crack any of these units with what I have left and the positioning that they're in. So I go for straight up points denial. The swordsman unit hides behind the greatswords. The greatswords move out to screen them from the character bus, and the pistoliers park themselves right in front of the Grail Knights so that if Anthony wants to charge them, he's going to end up overrunning far away from the rest of the units. So I just end up sacking another 100 points there to deny the loss of like my swordsman and the wizard lord from the Grail Knights. In the magic phase, I get off the 5-up ward save in close combat and rerolling failed wounds on the greatswords, so they're actually a really threatening target right now for Anthony to charge. And the steam tank continues to do nothing. So going into the bottom of turn 6, Anthony's last turn, he declares a combo charge, both the Grail Knights and the character bus on the Pistoliers, eliminates that unit, and that's the game. Here you can see the final disposition board. I've lost my Demigryph Knights, my Hurricanum, my Inner Circle Knights, and the attached Warrior Priest, the Pistoliers, and my Witch Hunter. I believe that's it for total units lost. Anthony has lost 1 Trebuchet, 5 Mounted Yeomen, and I believe that's it in terms of total units that he's lost. It comes out 855 victory points in his favor when you take into account standards and all that, and it's a major victory for Bretonnia. So remember in the beginning when I told you, Anthony, show me your war face? Well, this is Anthony's victory face, looking supremely vindicated after all of the battle reports that we've recorded of Empire versus Bretonnia, being able to put the lessons he's learned into full effect in a tournament, left Anthony feeling pretty darn good about himself. He took first place in the tournament. I took second place, and it was an awesome time. Everyone I played with was a really good sport. And thank you to the tournament organizer Brian for running it, and the prize support was very generous. I was able with second place to walk out of there with one of the Infinity books, which is pretty cool. So that's the battle report. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Congratulations to Anthony for your victory. And just looking at this picture kind of makes me laugh. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series of battle reports from the tournament. If you have any questions or anything, just leave a comment. Thank you very much. Have a good one.